I find myself at an interesting place in my life. I'm 27 years old now, and I've had a fantastic education and a great career and supportive family so far. And I'm deciding between two routes. One of them is returning to the US and continuing my career and sort of building a life there, making money, and leveraging all of my resources. Or the second is staying here in India and working on a project pertaining to sanitary health for women. One that would be much more risky and involves greater chance of failure and is obviously less lucrative. How do and I've been grappling with this. I had a conversation with some of my friends in my yoga group last night, and I found that inspiring. But how do I convince myself that I should pursue the latter path, and then how do I not deal with regret later should I fail, or how do I approach it, and how do I convince myself to move forward without second guessing myself?
Well, first of all, in a general sense, there's no sure things in the world. And so whenever you're deciding between two things, we never really know what's going to succeed and what's going to fail. And that's an important thing to keep in mind, because a lot of times our own intentions towards something play a much bigger role than we realize in their success or their failure. Our expectations of things play a much bigger role. They did a study in schools, scientific study, psychological study, where they walked into schools and they looked at lists of children per class. Say there were 50 children in a class. Randomly, without ever meeting the children, randomly, they assigned children half and half, basically, to either smart kids or not smart kids. They then called in the teachers at the beginning of the year and said, just to let you know, so these are the kids in your class who are really, really smart. And these are the kids who are really not smart. These are the challenged ones. Now remember, it was random. Had no bearing in reality. At the end of the year, when they actually gave these kids standardized tests, they found the kids who the teachers thought were smarter performed better. Kids who the teachers thought were stupider actually had become stupid. The smart ones had become smart. The stupid ones had become stupid. Now, what's doubly tragic about this is you would think from a teacher's perspective, she should or he should work the other way. If I were told these are the smart kids and these are the ones with challenges, I'd work more with the challenge kids to bring them up. But nonetheless, what we realize in this, and this has been replicated many, many times, is simply our expectation towards someone determines in a very, very subtle and complex and very psychologically interesting way, literally determines their outcome. Teachers expected certain kids to be smart. At the end of the year, on standardized tests, not subjective tests that teacher marked, standardized tests. Randomly chosen smart kids became smarter. Randomly chosen stupid kids became stupid. And I mention this in the beginning of answering your question because when we go into certain things, we think, oh, well, this is likely will fail. That expectation of this is going to be like swimming upstream makes it like that. And our expectation of, oh, this is going to be easy, no problem, I got this one down. Many, many times, that actually makes it happen. Now, specifically, going back to America, to a situation that feels like, yeah, I got that one down, the success. Or staying in India, doing something that's riskier, especially menstrual hygiene. I would say definitely do the second one for several reasons, and I'll come to them. First of all, India needs you. India is a challenging place to work. It's a challenging place to live. I'm not going to pretend that it isn't. Getting things done in other countries of the world is significantly smoother and simpler than getting things done in India. We know this. Now, of course, Modi ji in just a few years has changed this dramatically. Just on a logistic level. Paperwork, government things, license, fees, rights, all of that. From payments to gas, to mobiles, to registration, to students, to everything in between. So things are changing. But nonetheless, yes, it is easier to get things done in other countries abroad than in India. But if everyone who has the ability, who has the skills, who has the experience, who has the expertise, who has the interest, the commitment to serve, leaves India just because it's easier abroad, just because it's more of a direct path to a lucrative career, what's going to happen to India? India needs you. When people like you stay back in India, you are the people who say, no, wait. This red tape is totally unnecessary. We need to change this system. If you leave and the only people left in the system are people who have never seen another system, it'll never change. I cannot tell you how many decades Swamiji spent trying to convince the local municipality of Rishikesh to put in a walkway along the banks of Ganga. Now, he's been going abroad since 1980. He has seen in so many cities all over the world beautiful river walkways where people are able to take nice strolls along the river. There's benches, there's whatever it is. And of course, it keeps people from defecating in the river, keeps people from bringing their trash and dumping it in the river. So A, it's a nice civic thing. B, it takes care of the cleanliness of the area. Decades and decades, and nobody understood. They had never been abroad. They hadn't seen a river walk. Why bother? Too much trouble. Who cares? Finally, after bringing back innumerable photos and videos of innumerable river rocks personally, that he would say to me, take this, I have to bring this back and show them. Finally, they get the river rock walk put in on the other side. Now you can see people, evening time, everybody's out there, everybody's walking. It's gorgeous. And of course, people have now stopped coming and defecating and dumping their trash because it's an official, beautiful walk. But if that vision had never been given, if people who are honest and want to do honest work leave India, so that what you get left with is just those who don't have a way out, what's going to happen to India? So India needs you. It needs people of your generation who have the education, who have the experience, who know how things can work, who know what honesty in business looks like, who know what minimizing red tape looks like, who know what a work ethic looks like. People who have been educated, and not just people who have been educated abroad, but people who have been well educated here. This isn't India or abroad education, because so many people have been educated well here, everybody still wants to go abroad. Once they get a good education, they want to go. But India needs you to stay. India needs you to take what you have and use it to serve. You will change India. Don't wait for India to change. Stay and change India. And especially when you're talking about menstrual hygiene. This is something that is so, so crucial. Just yesterday in Delhi, I was at a Clean India program. Yesterday was Clean India Day, National Day dedicated to Clean India. And one of the things that I was speaking about was the importance of menstrual hygiene. We're talking about Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, save the girl child, educate the girl child. Fantastic program. But when we're not simultaneously building toilets in schools, when we're not simultaneously teaching menstrual hygiene, when we're allowing it to stay a taboo, when girls all over the country think they're somehow sick those days, that they're down. I mean, literally, that's the term that's used. I'm down. No, you're not down. You're up. The energy of menstruation is the energy of creation. If there were no menstruation, there'd be no creation. This is an up energy, not a down energy. But it simply requires some education around it. How to take care of it, how to stay clean. And it requires some facilities in which to do so. An open field not being the answer. A hillside not being the answer. And it requires technology to make menstrual pads that are cheap, that are easily available, that are eco-friendly, so that we don't end up with garbage dumps full of maxi pads. That's also obviously not the solution. But it's not rocket science, and solutions exist. We're losing. Almost 25% of girls drop out of school when they start menstruating. Almost 25% of girls. If you miss 4 or 5 days of school enough months in a row, it's hard to stay caught up. So they drop out. Imagine that all those girls are your sisters. Because they are. Stay and do something for them. And we'll help you. We'll work together. We'll help cut the red tape. We'll help smooth through the process and make it work.